Welcome to Sacred Wandering with Keira Brinton. My friend, this is a corner of the world where time stops, where the noise in our minds quiet, where we have soft hearts and we open our palms and we ask. This is a place where we receive. I invite you to join me as we wander through the sacred together. Welcome to Sacred Wandering. Good morning, my love. I welcome you into this space. I am honored to hold this space with you. I'm honored to be with you. And I am grateful. We're going to take a nice deep breath in from the crown of our heads. We're going to breathe it all the way down the center column of our being, all the way out through the soles of our feet. Today, we're going to do 3 breaths, and we're going to breathe love into our bodies and breathe fear out of our beings. Palms open, heart soft. Let's breathe this love in. Breathing in and breathing out fear. And in and out. One more. Here we go. Allowing love to reach the very edges of your body and breathing out all the leftover fear. Come back into regular breath. We're going to call in all of our angels and our guides in and through the divine light, that they may sit with us, that they may hold us, that they may open paths in front of us. I'm going to read to you a message I received a few months ago. It's a beautiful message. These are the words that I heard. It is in the shallow water where those who are afraid of the depth stay, only their feet being refreshed, the faces hot, their bodies sweating. But still they stay, afraid of the depths in front of them. But those who are willing to cast out fear have the refreshment of their whole body being immersed in the cool water, the ease of weightlessness of being submerged. Fear holds back the delight and ease. Go all in. Yes, please. Always go all in. That's my everyday mantra. And so I love when God will give me a message like that. But I believe that message came when I was feeling fear. And when fear arrives, I become paralyzed. And so this has been the work that God has been doing with me for the last 3 years, is to shorten the gap between inspiration and action. I received 3 years ago, actually almost to the date. I remember laying in my bed, newly single mother, never having to ever have provided for 5 children financially, and feeling the burden of such a weight. And in that moment, I remember it was 3 a.m., I felt my body paralyzed in fear. And that was the first time I felt Joan of Arc appear. And I remember feeling her presence and knowing it was her. I was told it was her. And I was told to begin to write. And as I began to write, these words were given to me. And the words were, the space between inspiration and action is where you become a slave to fear. The space between inspiration and action is where you become a slave to fear. And she told me that I was a slave and that I needed to get up and that we had a war to win. And little did I know what was ahead, and little did I know what God had in store. Never could I have imagined at that moment 3 years ago that God would help me build a multi-million-dollar company, that God would give me 2 TV series, that God would rent an island with me 4 times in 1 year and pray with people on such holy land. Never could I have imagined what God had in store, but I took action. I began to covenant that every time I was inspired, I would take action immediately, not in a day, not in a month, not in a year, but now. And I would close the gap. And that is the power of going all in. Going all in means that nothing is left behind. And as you go all in, fear cannot actually exist with you, for fear lives in paralyzed energy. Fear lives in procrastination. Fear does not live in inspiration. Fear does not live in inspired action. And so, my love, today, as we go into prayer, I invite you to pick up whatever has been keeping you paralyzed, whatever has been holding you back. And I invite you to put it into God and allow God to transfigure it. Transfigure it to match the frequency of miracles. And I ask that God will then touch our cells, that our cells may be tuned to the frequency of inspired action, that our cells may know the blueprint of inspired action, and so it is within. And therefore, it will be without. For as our cells know this blueprint, our actions will follow. And now I ask that God may place his hands on our head to give us a blessing, that we may receive as God receives, and that we may hear the words that God has for us. And I will be quiet as you pray. Take a nice deep breath in, allowing these words to move through your body, allowing God's words to be written in the very cells of who you are. And as God writes words within you, you become a walking holy text, for God's words are embedded within the being that is you. Now I invite you to open your palms to the heavens and ask God to place within the palms what is the number one action that you can do today that is going to close the gap between inspiration and action. I invite you to listen and to receive. And now we ask our angels that they will help us take this action, that it may be done today, that we may be in inspired work. And as we are in inspired work, we become a vessel for God. We become the one who brings visions to this earth. And I want you to know that if you were to follow the 3 sacred steps, you ask God, you listen, and you do, your life will change. The frequency of your very being shifts. For inspired action is the language of God. And I believe in you. And I want to thank you for wandering into the sacred with me. And I will see you tomorrow morning, my love, in our prayer corner. Thank you for wandering into the sacred with me today. If this episode moved or inspired you, I encourage you to share it. Think of someone who needs this message today and text it to them. Let's add more light to the world by welcoming people into our prayer corner together. I also want to invite you to create your own prayer corner at home, a space set apart where you can return again and again to hear God's voice. To support you, I've created the Sacred Space course, which guides you step by step in locating, creating, and dedicating your very own sacred space. You're also welcome into the Sacred Wandering Facebook group, where you can share the blessings that God is giving you and be uplifted by others walking this path. You can find both of these resources in the show notes, or just send me a DM on Instagram at Keira Brinton, and me or my team will send them directly to you. I want to thank you for being one of the rare humans who chooses to sit at the foot of God, to ask, listen, and do. And as always, I want to thank you for wandering into the sacred with me.